Today we are going to study geological history of the earth. What is geology? What is geological? You know that the study of rocks and minerals, and especially the very small segment of those rocks, that is petrology, is the study under geology. In geology, we study the crust of the earth, mineralogy, petrology, lithology, etc. And geologists are also concerned with the lithosphere and its system, but they are least attached with the asthenosphere, mantle and core. Although these are also the subject matter of geology, but especially geomagnetism. And what is history? What is geological history? As we, people, man on this earth have history, our ancestors and our descendants. In the same way, earth also has its history. Earth originated some 4.5 billion years ago, but now its shape, form and characteristics have changed. How these have changed? This is the study of geological history. And we have also studied the history of our universe, history of our solar system. So history of anything should be studied very thoroughly. Now let us study the history of the geology or the history of the earth. How and in which way we will study it? There is one way that on the basis of rocks we study the geological history. And for that we have to go back to the formation of rocks on the earth in the beginning of the cooling of the earth. And suppose some rocks are there, and geological history starts from bottom to top, because you might have seen the history of a king. In that, the history is written from top to bottom. One king had two sons, then their descendants. But in geological history, we start from bottom to top. Why? Because geology is studied in this way. Suppose you take the rocks of Gangetic Plain or Mississippi Plain, Huangho Plain, Yangtze, any plain of the earth. So first, if we start digging borehole or wells, first we study the top layer that was deposited latest, and then we go down and study in sequence, in series, the rocks, and at bottom there is the oldest rock. That's why in geological history we start studying from bottom to top. In those rocks there are some minerals deposited, some coal, fossils, all these things are deposited in the rocks, and some animal fossils are also there, and coal and wood. That's why on the basis of these plant animal fossils we study that. That's why our geological history has been divided in Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic or Neozoic. Zoic means geological, not geological, zoological. Geological means plants and animals, especially animals. Then we take this as a criteria. Why? Because in geological history, the origin of flora, fauna, reptiles, ape and latest man is also included. But here one very initial point is that 570 million years ago, this is a beginning point of the geological history of the earth, because it may be taken as a round figure as 600 million years ago. During this period, Earth cooled. Before it, Earth was in hot and gaseous state, and that's why it slowly cooled, and this was the Proterozoic, and it is here Precambrian period. Proterozoic and Archaeozoic. On the basis of geology, means plants and animals, it is called Protero and Archaeozoic. Then it is called primary or Paleozoic. This is called primary or Paleozoic, secondary or Mesozoic, and tertiary and quaternary are grouped together in Cenozoic and Cainozoic. It is very simple to keep in mind that up to this time, Earth cooled and rocks were formed, came into existence. But after that, this is era, primary era, secondary era, and this is quaternary era. This is Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic or Cainozoic. And this is primary era, secondary era, Cainozoic era, on the basis of geology. But this Cainozoic has been grouped in two parts, and tertiary and quaternary. So for generalization, this is a period, this was era. In period, this is primary, secondary era, but period is tertiary and quaternary. Now this is a Cambrian. Cambrian is a mountain in United Kingdom. On the basis of this is named as Cambrian orogeny. In primary, there are subdivisions of this primary or Paleozoic. Those are Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous. These are the 6 that you should keep in your mind in sequence, because sometimes UPSC asks to arrange it in descending order or ascending order. This is Carboniferous period, very important period. In Carboniferous period, there was a phase of glaciation. You see here, this was a glaciation. On the Earth, there were 2 phases of glaciation. The previous one was during Carboniferous. And second thing, in Carboniferous period, there was coal formation. Coal. Why coal formation? Because in this period, some tectonic activities occurred. What is tectonic activity? When the part of crust moves apart, then the vegetation on that fall down in that rift, and the rivers bring sediment and deposit on that vegetation. Due to pressure, that vegetation or animal is converted into fossil fuel. Fossil. What is fossil? Fossil is coal, petroleum and gas. If pressure is less, then that plant and animal is converted into coal. If pressure is more than that, that is converted into petroleum. If the overlying pressure of sediment is maximum, that is converted into gas. This you can use or apply in society also. If you make a little pressure on some student, that is selected in UDA and becomes precious coal. But if pressure is exerted more and increased, then that boy becomes PCS, better and valuable than the coal. But if pressure is maximum and the student prepares best, becomes IS, then that becomes gas, the most precious among the fossil fuels. So this is about the Carboniferous period, and that time there was Pennsylvanian and Mississippian. You might be knowing these two places, Pennsylvania in United States on Appalachian Mountain and Mississippian to the west of it. There coal was formed. Here this coal, and very important stage of coal formation. At the same time, this is glaciation. What is glaciation? Glaciation, we will discuss it in later chapter. But glaciation is a process in which temperature of the earth cools down and the ice sheet in the form of lobe proceeds from pole to the equator, but cannot reach up to equator because between Cancer and Capricorn, sun is vertical, temperature is high, so ice is not allowed. But in lobe shape, it moves from North Pole to South Pole. There were two phases of glaciation that we will tackle in next chapter. The first phase was this Carboniferous glaciation, and the second phase was this Pleistocene glaciation, where there were 4 subphases, Gunjamindal, Rusbirm. And question is asked that this glaciation of Carboniferous affected which land and countries, because glaciation causes erosion and deposition and leaves some glacial topographical landforms. So during Carboniferous, all the continents were on the South Pole. All the continents were on the South Pole. It means Africa was on the South Pole. India was also physically attached with Africa. Australia also. And the South America was also in the south. That's why the glacial impact of Carboniferous period is largely witnessed or found in the southern hemisphere on the continents of south hemisphere. And the second question is, this Pleistocene phase of glaciation also has some impact. Where? Because this is the latest event, latest happening of glaciation. And up to Pleistocene, the position of continents reached at present, means the present position is there. And if glaciation will start from North Pole, then the ice slopes will affect the northern hemispheric continents or land. Because at present in Pleistocene or Holocene period, the South Pole means Antarctica continent is overlain by ice, but surrounding it there is water body, southern oceans. There glacial process cannot work. That's why the evidences of Pleistocene glaciation are found in North America, means Canada, USA and Siberia. That has 4 subphases, that is Gunjamindal and Rissurm. And now come to this Mesozoic period or second phase or second era of our geological history. In it there are 3 periods. One is Triassic, Jurassic and Cretaceous. Among these, Jurassic is very important because it is famous for killing of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were killed in Jurassic period. Why? There are 2 stories behind it. Number 1, during Jurassic period, there was large scale bombardment of meteorites on the earth, especially in Siberia. And that meteoritic fall left a voluminous amount of dust in atmosphere. That dust intercepted the insolation coming from the sun. That's why temperature on the earth decreased. This way, there was a global cooling. And global cooling begins from North Pole and South Pole. So that's why global cooling started from north-south glaciation, but temperature in equatorial region also decreased where dinosaurs lived. Dinosaurs were habituated to live in warm climate, but when temperature decreased, they were killed. And second story is that during that Carboniferous period, there was plate movement. Due to plate movement, volcanic eruption took place, and volcanic dust covered the atmosphere. Due to that, the insolation could not reach in total quantity. Thus, temperature decreased and dinosaurs were being killed. So, this Jurassic is a very important period. Then, this is Cretaceous period. Cretaceous period is also important because in Cretaceous period there was a coal formation. It means tectonic activities, means rupturing of the crustal part, its movement, and formation of fossil fuel was on large scale in it. Then this is the tertiary period, and in tertiary period there are some sub-epochs, means this is Paleocene, Eocene, Oligocene, Miocene, Pliocene. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Paleocene, Eocene, Oligocene, Miocene, Pliocene. It means if you want to keep in mind, here there was 2 before the earth surface cooled down. Here are the 6, then 3, then here 5, then in Quaternary or last phase Pleistocene, and here Holocene. In tertiary it is Eocene, and in Eocene here volcanic eruption was there, but this volcanic eruption was traced in Deccan. Deccan means in India. In Maharashtra, Deccan lava erupted. But in some books it is written that in Maharashtra, in Deccan, the lava was of Cretaceous period. But in some books it is written it is of Eocene period. Both the answers written in books are intelligent, but you have to give the answer wisely, that if you ask from the lava that is found on the surface, that will tell that I am the origin of Eocene period, because below this lava, in bottom, this Cretaceous period lava will be found. That's why sometimes you should apply common sense in giving answer, although both are correct. So you should keep all these things, all these points in mind. Then comes Quaternary period, and this is Pleistocene period. Pleistocene period begins 1.5 lakh years back, and its duration is also nearly this. Then it is Holocene period, means present period of geological history. Now let us see, after keeping these things in mind, this is very important for you to study the rocks and geology and the geological incidents of the earth, of a continent, of India. Because in India, when you will study the rock, and without the study of rock, you cannot make relief, drainage clear. And without relief and drainage, monsoon, agriculture, all these things will not be very much clear. That's why to keep in mind is our religion. It is our natural duty, because it is the product of nature. Now let us think that these are the 3 very important things, very important dates, because it is primary, this is secondary, and this is tertiary, and then this is quaternary. Here one important thing you should understand, that there are 3 phases of coal formation. First coal formation was this Carboniferous period. Then during this period, this second phase, and then this is third phase. And coal, as you know, and we shall study it, that is of 3 types. Anthracite, very good quality coal, having more than 75% carbon and up to 90%, more than that sometimes. And then bituminous, second one. Then this is peat or lignite. But it is not sure that in this period all the coals will be in peat or lignite form, because the formation of coal depends on the pressure on flora and fauna. Now come to this volcanism. Because of the plate movement or crustal fracture, volcanic activities occurred from time to time. This volcanic activity belongs to Lake Superior. Superior is a lake region in United States and especially along Canada border. There was a fracture, volcanic activity occurred. And this was in Siberia, and this was in here Parana and Paraguay region, South America, Deccan, Maharashtra, that we have discussed recently, and this Colombia also volcanic activity occurred. And this is the latest volcanic activity that is taking place in Iceland. Latest lava is erupting that we will study in mid-Atlantic ridge. There are three latest volcanic eruptions that are active volcano. Number one, this Iceland. Second, Stromboli in Mediterranean Sea. And third, Erebus in Antarctica region. Now come to know that there were two phases of glaciation. One, Carboniferous, that we have recently discussed, and second was Pleistocene glaciation. In Pleistocene glaciation, there are four phases: Gunj, Wendel, Riss, Urm. This will be discussed later on in the topic glaciation or glacial phase, its cause and impact on the earth. And mountains have also come on the earth, not in a particular period of time, rather they have come from time to time. As we know that when two lands are there and between those two lands there is ocean, so rainwater brings sediment from both land, deposits in the ocean. But when those two lands come closer, due to their pressure, mountain comes out of that sea or geosyncline. This way, mountains have originated on this earth in several phases that we shall study in detail. Then, here this was a Precambrian mountain, means before the cooling of the earth. As earth was cooling, there was shrinking. Due to shrinking, some part rose up. That was called Precambrian mountain. Then here, this is Caledonian mountain. Caledonia is a mountain in UK. And when that Caledonian mountain originated, at the same time, a number of mountains on the earth came into existence. This is very second phase of mountain orogeny. This is in Europe continent, and this is alpine or tertiary phase of mountain, that is the latest one. Thus, there are 1, 2, 3 main phases of mountain orogeny, and latest one is this, means Himalayas is of this period, this category. This category means here Pliocene, Oligocene, Eocene. And Himalayas ranges are still rising, like the height of Everest is increasing. So, this is called young folded mountain. And in the same way, of the same period, there are mountains, folded mountains like Rockies and Andes. Now let us see this, the existence or commencement of biosphere on the earth, because we have started here Archaeozoic, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic. Zoic means, geology means flora and fauna, plants and animals. As earth cooled down, here the flora first came on the earth, because when the temperature became habitable and the water came into existence on the planet earth, first flora came into existence. Then nature sent here a number of insects and reptiles. Then those reptiles, their size increased, and like we have studied here in Jurassic period, dinosaurs came into existence. After that, when there were big tall forests, ape came into existence, then chimpanzee, then gorilla, then Homo sapien, then Homo erectus. Means human history begins with ape, that is 65 million years ago. And then after ape, that man used 4 legs and used his hands to catch the branches of the tree. But at last, man used 2 feet, and that man became Homo erectus. And the Homo erectus man then developed in the stage of Stone Age, Bronze Age, and then about here 12,000 years ago, means this is 2000 AD, and in 10,000 BC, the modern man developed, and we are descendants of that modern man. So this is the geological history or development of the plants and animals. This chart gives you a glimpse of geological history, era, period, epoch, duration, and especially you will keep these things in mind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it is in chronological order, and formation of coal in different periods may be asked from UPSC, and this volcanism in different stages, you will have to locate it on a world map, that the lava of which country belongs to which period. In the same way, glaciation is an independent question, that this chart and table will help. And mountain origin, there are different theories regarding the origin of mountains. We will use this there. And plants and animals is also important to understand the geological history of the earth.